welcome to
Delight in Fright.
Thank you for joining us today. Today will be a lovely day full of us. Yay! And so we're just gonna discuss today, just based on our history with horror, and let's introduce ourselves.
I'm Kat. Been a horror fan since forever, probably. My first memory is watching the previews for The Howling on TV. I'm sure it was very edited. But the previews were lock your doors and stay inside for The Howling. Arr! It was like werewolves clawing on this chick's car. She was like, ah! So I stayed up late, tried to get my brother to join me. Little pussy, he wouldn't join me. You hear that, bro? You're pussy. He wouldn't join me. So anyways, I snuck up behind the couch and kind of peered out between and saw some shit. Changed my life. Been hooked ever since. Should say that.
Yeah. So it's funny. My mom was very, conservative and didn't allow me to watch anything scary or anything that didn't align with her religious views, which I understand. My cousins, however, had a different priority in their lives, and they had this I didn't know what it was at the time, but they had a little scream mask. Now I know what it is. It had a valve on it. I don't know if you guys seen it before, and it had like a little heart. You would push on it, and then all the blood would come drip down from its face. Cool. They always try to scare me with it. They'd always get cool masks and stuff and try to scare me with it. So ever since then, I've been surrounded by horror elements. It really wasn't until I was a teenager that I started really kind of just discovering horror kind of on my own, breaking away from, you want to be rebellious and, your parents, they're like, don't do this, don't do that. And you're like, why? I want to know more. Tell me.
So don't do what now?
Don't do what? Why?
Notes.
Yeah. So, really, this whole I guess road for me was really getting into Scream. That was really really big for me early on, and then starting out with campy horror stuff Freddy, Jason, all that stuff. And campy horror stuff is always going to be very close to me because it was my very first horror kind of genre that I really gravitated to. So what's your favorite horror genre that you would say is you gravitated more towards? Your first.
There's so many. There's a lot. I really like the horror, the campy, but it's still horrific, psychological, messed up things happen, but there's still a little lightheartedness because I think that's natural. We kind of have fun with what scares us the most. So I still like horrific and gory and scary, but still with a little bit of humor.
Yeah, I can see that. Lately I've been getting more into paranormal horror. I recently saw the new Insidious movie over the weekend, and that was a lot of fun. And I liked how throughout the franchise, different demons, different things have different things about them, and different I want to say abilities and specialties, what they're known for, what they're known to do. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, but paranormal horror, some stuff is a little frightening to me because I've seen stuff that I couldn't comprehend. So sometimes it's oh God, it's kind of I'm going back into that time. So it's kind of some of it is kind of for me, but I enjoy it. I enjoy it in moderation. How do you feel about paranormal horror?
I like it. I mean, I like the paranormal activities and all of those are interesting, and the Insidious. I just saw the last one.
Yeah.
So I liked it. I like how everything is kind of related. Mm-hmm. There's little bits and pieces that you can still enjoy it for its own movie, or if you watch them all in in order and take notes, and sometimes like I do because I'm a nerd, so you can kind of relate and see what different things are and how they're all connected, and I really like when a franchise does that instead of just like all willy nilly. I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, for sure. You know, for me personally, I like that. I'm not okay. Now I'm gonna get a lot of slack for this one, but I'm not a big person for Saw, and just the storyline doesn't resonate with me. I don't mind like all the gore, all the stuff going on, but the story just doesn't.
You don't think you can learn anything by being chopped into little bits? No, no. I thought that was
I don't know. I mean,
a really good way to learn stuff.
it's cool. It's cool kid stuff. But I'm more into like a good story, and that's been pretty hard, I think, because
I think Saw kind of had its own thing. You know, the first one was definitely a good twist, and I think they kind of carried it out too long, as what tends to happen. But for when it first came out, it was an original idea. It had a story about someone that was trying to, teach people that life is precious and they should try to enjoy every moment, even though it's a really sick and twisted way to do so.
Yeah, I can see that.
There are a lot of people that just kind of run about their lives and don't appreciate what they have and could use a wake up call. I mean, I think that's a bit extreme, but
it is a bit extreme. Yeah. How do you feel about, just very brief touching on that whole thing? How do you feel about the Final Destination movies? I mean, that's.
I like those.
You like those?
I love them. It's like, even if you've seen it before and you know what's happening, you're still like, ooh, you're like waiting for it.
You're waiting for it to happen. Yeah.
It's like, you think it's gonna be somewhat simpler, but I like when it's more an elaborate kind of domino set. Okay, this is gonna fall on this, and that's gonna start on fire, causing this to do that, and then the person gets murdered in some weird way.
Spoiler alert, lots of death.
Yes.
Yeah, spoiler alert. For all of you that haven't seen any of the Final Destination movies, apparently there's a lot of death and stuff. But
I've been rewatching them. I think I'm up to the second one now.
Oh, yeah. The log scene for me is always like a woo.
Still, people like when they see, they're like,
go around it. It's better, it's better to be safe because you never know, they didn't tie down those logs properly, and you never know.
I got trust issues.
Trust issues are very difficult, yes, and a lot of horror movies will play on those. So I like that. I like that actually. Definitely don't, and Scream, the guy calling you and stuff. That's
the perv.
And
the heavy breathing.
That's definitely a lot of trust issues going on there. So, Kathy, what are some other things that you feel are important to you during horror and storytelling of horror?
I think characters that you can relate to.
For sure. Yeah.
Different types, and getting to the details of the character while not boring your audience. It's a fine line. But I think if you have a really good character and a really good story, you have the time to kind of elaborate on that character versus just if you're just going for the gore and the blood and the guts, and that's fun too, but it's not gonna last.
Right.
It's something you'll watch once and it's like, okay, I've seen that. I'm done.
That's how I felt about Hostel.
Yeah.
The characters weren't really built. It was just just cut them into pieces and that's it. I mean, there was some story there, but I don't personally feel like the characters were very developed. There's a lot going on. I'm not a big fan of Hostel. How do you feel about that one?
Some of the gore effects were good, but they of course weren't very creative. I mean,
with what aspect? With the storytelling?
Well, obviously the storytelling's not very creative. I mean, but unfortunately, these are things that we know happens. You know, people disappear on vacation all the time.
All the
like
time.
it's. I mean, if anything, you should maybe learn some things from horror movies if you're going to a third world country. get a good hotel room. Make sure people know where you are at all
Plans.
times. You know?
Yeah. That's a good tip for
Don't
anything
talk to
nowadays.
strangers, or if they're like, "Hey, come to this bar or this club or this restaurant." I'm like, no, 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 no.
Hold
It's one
on.
thing if it's where you live or where you know,
Yeah.
but no, they're trying to swindle you into something usually. So it's best to stick to the yellow brick road. Don't
Yeah, yeah.
don't wander into the poppies and be like, "Oh, yay!"
Yeah, for sure. And I like how you mentioned that because horror movies do have an element of storytelling that you can apply to your daily life. Like, one funny one is like the whole Friday the 13th, right? You're out there, you're unaware of your surroundings. Maybe you're having a little fun with your partner, and some killer comes out. And half of the time, they were either intoxicated, heavily intoxicated, or unaware of their surroundings, didn't realize, oh, this is maybe I need to follow my intuition, and they got, you know, ousted. So
Bad things happen.
bad things happen, yeah, for sure. Especially if you're not paying attention and aware of your surroundings. So definitely horror has some of those storytelling has transcended into my actual life, as checking the back of the car, no zombies, we're good. Kind of like it doesn't necessarily have to be a zombie, it can be a guy with a knife.
I'm still not doing the cardio.
Oh, no, no cardio, no rule, whatever it was.
I'll do the double tap, even the triple, but I'm not doing the cardio.
Yeah.
If they're the fast zombies, I'm done. Just get me.
Let me, yeah.
I'll just barbecue myself. Let's go. Get her done.
Get her done, yeah.
Why draw it out,
Yeah, for sure. Now, since we're going into this whole real life and horror, what is one of your favorite memories? Or I know you have a lot, we all have a lot, but what is something that you can really bring up right now, like a memory of like a parent or a brother or someone special and dear to you, of them sharing a horror movie experience with you?
It'll be my mom. We always stayed up watching the spooky movies, the scary scaries. Dad was always scared of that type of stuff. So he just let me and mom stay up. I mean, I think the Mummy terrified him as a child. Ever since he saw that as a kid, he was like,
Yeah.
I'm done. Like,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
nope, I'm done. Like, the Mummy that was enough for him growing up. But mom, she grew up watching Dark Shadows with her mom, with my grandmother.
Okay.
So we all three would watch Twilight Zone together. In anything, any horror show. We loved Monsters, Tales from the Dark Side. A lot, mostly just a lot of that stuff you would find on TV. Unfortunately, we didn't have access to everything.
Yes.
Like today, where you could just, oh, sure, I can find that for you, easy peasy. We kind of had to work with what we had. But she was definitely obsessed with Charmed, Buffy. We love Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Angel. Oh, Angel. So
Yeah.
yeah, she liked the horror. Like, she liked the creepy kind of stuff that would just sneak up on you, like What Lies Beneath.
Oh, yeah.
It took me a while to like be alone in a bathroom without like looking in the mirror, like creeped out, because
yeah.
just the little subtleties is what would kind of creep us out. And sometimes we would mess with her after seeing a creepy movie and be like clawing on with a tree limb on like the window of the house.
Goodness.
And she always knew we were being stupid. She'd always get us somehow, like
Somehow, yeah.
she was good at sneaking up on us, but we couldn't really get her.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's a beautiful rekindling of your experiences. Yeah. So for me, mostly, like I mentioned, it was just mostly my cousins, them having the passion for like the spooky, scary masks, and then from there, having that as a childhood kind of like segue and building a little footprint for myself. In high school, I started hanging out around with all the goth kids, so that was a lot of fun. And they introduced me to like Nosferatu. I mean, you gotta be goth, you gotta know your Dracula, Nosferatu, stuff like that. So I would always tell my mom, "Oh yeah, we're gonna do a bunch of stuff for drama club," because I was in drama club at the time. And then sometimes we actually didn't have practice or anything like that. We didn't have a play going
Nice.
on, so I would just go to my friend's house. I would take a bus to their house, and we'd sit around, watch Nosferatu, hang out. And then I remember just so vividly just being like, why would anybody try to hide this from me? This is so cool. This is so epic. And just like vintage movies from like the 50s and 60s will always, like, I know I mentioned the campy horror. That was always fun. But like Frankenstein
The Hammer
and
horror.
yeah, like the 50s black and white horror, that will always have a special place because I remember just like saying to my parents, sorry mom, I know, saying to my parents, yeah, I'm gonna go to drama club, and then I'd look at my schedule, there's no drama club that day, so I'm like, yes, I can go over there, we can watch movies, eat popcorn, and I can go home and still do homework.
Nice.
So that was always that's a good memory for me.
Yeah, me and my brother, like, when we had nothing to do, we would write our own screenplays.
Nice.
We just like have an idea, and then we just like elaborate it. And then at one point we swore that our house was bugged because the stuff we would be working on, we'd see previews for it.
Oh, okay.
That's why I strongly believe in there's different terms for it, but what people are thinking at the same time kind of resonates within the universe.
Right.
There's that type of thought it's shared.
Right.
Like it's been happening since forever. Certain same type of movies come out at the same time, and you're like, wait, what? Why all of a sudden? Because it's just that shared consciousness that I think that we share as human beings that some people are tapped into and some people aren't.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because it's like, even with small things like that, you can just be like, oh, I'm thinking about barbecue, and somebody will be like, I'm going to barbecue next weekend. And you're like, aha, the synchronization around here is insane.
Yeah, man.
So,
in the past, we would have been burned as witches.
Yeah.
She's a witch, damn it.
Oh, I don't know if this movie particularly is horror, like horror genre, maybe child horror. I don't know if that's even a word, but The Witches, in 1990s with
Oh shoot, it's been a while since I've seen that.
Yeah, so I read
a little comedic too.
Kind of. I originally read the book, and the book was great, but
it was like 80s for kids, right? Which was totally different from kids stuff now.
Yes. And I remember the Supreme Witch, whatever her name was, I think it was Angelica Houston, I want to say.
I think so.
She was like the Grand Prime Witch, and then just I remember vividly as a kid seeing this beautiful, elegant woman. I was like, ooh, I need to get to her status in life because she had all the jewels and she was like decked out to the nines. And then when she takes off her face and you're just like, oh fuck, I do not want to look like that. But I don't know if it's actually like a real authentic horror movie, but I definitely do remember that a lot.
That's the thing about horror, it goes on a lot of different lines.
Yeah,
there's thriller, there's mystery, there's some bookstores don't even have like a specific horror section, which is annoying. You should all have horror sections, okay? Because sometimes you got to look at thriller, mystery, or sci-fi. The horror.
To kind of
it's kind of everywhere.
Yeah, the scariest part I think for me when I read the book is I was a kid at the time when I read this book called Witches. Right, I was reading it. I was like, oh, witches, fun, black cats, and then they started turning all the kids into rats. Spoiler alert. And then I was sitting there, and then I'd like look around and be like, oh my god, is she a witch? Is she gonna turn me into a rat? So it was like this whole like childhood paranoia of like. Kid? No, the witches in the series just hated kids. They wanted all kids to just die and be turned into brats. So then and then you're 8 or 9 or whatever, and you're like, you like see a sewer rat or something, you're like, oh my god, is that little Timmy? I haven't seen him in a week. He's gone, guys. Little Timmy is gone.
Oh no, that's where all the little kids disappear too.
Yes, they all turn rats into rats and live in a sewer in New York. So, spoiler alert. Just kidding. No, no, don't come after me.
Did you see Witches of Eastwick?
No, I didn't see
What?
that one yet.
What? Oh my god, you guys.
Maybe we'll do a podcast about
Yes,
us
she has to see
watching that and then recapping it.
That was one of my favorites growing up.
Yeah.
We watched that one a lot.
Oh yeah. And I think, I gotta say, it's interesting when you read a book and then when you see it, because sometimes it matches up perfectly. Like a lot of the Goosebump books. I don't know if you remember reading those as a kid.
I was reading the Sweet Valley High.
Oh, okay. So I read a lot of the Goosebump books, and I wasn't fortunate enough to, have the show. Now kids nowadays have everything. They have a show and then the thing. And then I recently started
But they don't have privacy.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Once it's on the internet, that's it.
Yeah, just like
this
video. Just like this video.
All the shit I did growing up.
Ooh, yeah, that's true. That's very true. But yeah, those Goosebump books, I don't think, maybe I wasn't fortunate enough to know there was a video franchise, but recently I know on Netflix I've seen like a lot of like, oh, Goosebumps this, whatever, and I'm like, oh wow, there's a series now, like a Netflix series, so that was pretty neat to see. So it's always cool when you see a book being reimagined into like a series, especially something that's very special like that, or tales that you tell in the dark,
Scary stories to tell in the dark.
Yes, there you go. Thank you.
I still have some of the originals with the art that they removed from the newer books because it's really creepy. Some creepy shit.
Creepy, yeah. See, this is a whole nother podcast for another time, but it's important. Digital media is like not the thing. It's important to have physical media because things will get re-edited and
they can be altered.
They can be altered and changed.
And now that Disney owns our whole childhood, pretty much, they're gonna start messing with shit.
Yeah, changing stuff around and just leave it the way it is. If you can afford it, get your favorite media in physical form. That way, if they ever do changes or edits in the future, you have the original copy. So that's my TED Talk for the day. Well, you want to wrap up? Do you have any last comments, any last things that you'd like to tell our lovely viewers today? And by the way, we're doing it together since it's our very first show.
Firsties. So we're not virgins anymore?
No, we're not video podcast virgins anymore. Sorry. But at least we get to be in spirit together from going forward.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we'll do a lot of things for the first time.
Whoa. You hear it first, guys. You heard it first.
So we're kind of working out our cast and how we're gonna set things up. So if you have any suggestions for us, please send us your information or your messages. What is it? Your DMs?
Your DMs, your
Why does it always sound dirty
to
me?
Yeah.
Your DMs. Sounds like a dungeon.
Slide it in the DM. Like, kids
whatever.
Nowadays. Yeah, just...
We got the Facebook, right? We got the Facebook.
Yeah,
we're
on
the
Facebook.
Instagram.
Yeah, and I'll even post our link tree. In our link tree, we'll have all of our social media thingamabobs. That way you can follow us on all of them. And even if you're an old geezer and feel like emailing is the best, we'll include that in there too. We'd love to get an email from you guys, and we're thinking we have some ideas that we're rolling, especially for like Shark Week coming up, and some
I got
interesting.
my nails ready. Wait. Nope.
Yeah, I see the little fan. That's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. Well, thank you for that. We needed a nail party. I'm not as fashionable, as you can tell. But yeah,
that's all I do.
Yeah, fashion. High fashion over here.
No, that's all I do is my nails. Fashion.
Well, that's more than I do. So. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And we'll have way more content. Thank you for listening to our stories about, horror and everything else. We're gonna discuss a lot more things. And next shows we plan on doing more like tailored stuff. Like we'll have, we'll be discussing this theme, this topic, and then we'll go.
Be more structured.
Yeah, today was just a get to know us, get to know your horror hosts.
Less chaos.
Yeah, less chaos in the next
We'll
one.
try.
This is just more fun.
I can't promise.
Yeah, we can't promise anything, but, disclaimer here. No promises.
Chaos happens.
Chaos happens. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you so much for watching. And like, subscribe, share all of the algorithm things. And thank you. And we'll see you again. This was Luna.
Cat.
Bye, guys.